Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Fortified Life podcast, where we are passionate about developing a dependency on Jesus in the marketplace. I'm your host, Jason Davis, aka Mr. Fortify. Every week, I have the opportunity to bring on authors, speakers, coaches, influencers, all types of people that are passionate about putting God back in business. Ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell you, I'm very excited about our guest. I met him through a mutual friend who is just powerful. I got to get her on the show one day. Hint, hint, if she's listening. But it's going to be an awesome conversation. Before I bring him on, let me introduce him to you. Jason Murray is an experienced speaker, sales and marketing consultant, and best-selling author with a proven track record for success by consistently delivering results throughout an extensive career in sales and marketing, healthcare, financial services, and leadership development. Jason's documented career spanned decades in various industries consisting of consumer goods, pharmaceutical, publishing, banking, health insurance, and wealth management industries. He transitioned from a career in the corporate world to achieve success as an entrepreneur focused on building teams and business development. As president and CEO of Abundant Network LLC, Murray's experience as a speaker, best-selling author, and business trainer has provided him with many opportunities to empower many professionals. Jason entered the financial services and financial planning industry with Merrill Lynch, where he received his licenses to conduct business in the wealth management space. Prior to his current role, he developed his craft as an experienced advisor for many years with Transamerica Financial Advisors. Now, Jason serves as managing partner slash financial advisor. Uh, with financial advisory practice, Right Time Financial LLC. He holds Series 766 life, health, property, and casualty licenses. He does it all. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Fortified Life, Jason Murray. Jason, what's going on, man?
Oh, great. Thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it, Jason. And we got the same name. So my namesake. All right.
We do. We
Yes.
do. Folks, you know it's going to be good when you got the same name for sure. Now, Jason, we look at your background and it's very, very extensive. We know God has graced you to do a lot of things, but kind of take us on that journey, Jason. Like nobody just wakes up and works in all these different industries and finance, healthcare, and then business development, and then this speaking, the author as an author. No one just wakes up and does that. So give us the nuggets of how it all came together.
Well, Jason, it started out, when I graduated from college. I went to Marist College in Poughkeepsie, New York, studied business marketing. And my last semester, I took a investment analysis class. So I got fascinated with the financial markets, really
Mm.
fascinated. So I wanted to go to Wall Street. I wanted to be that financial advisor, really understand investment banking, understand how money works. And when I went to Wall Street, got there and they said, "Well, you don't have sales experience, so
Oh,
you don't qualify."
right.
At the same time, there was other people who didn't have the experience, were qualified. So I didn't let that be a hindrance to me. I said, okay, let me go get sales experience. And as I did
Mm.
that, I ended up on Wall Street, but working in firms like Brinks, the Armored Car Company. And initially, when I did work at Merrill Lynch, I was just doing back office accounting work. And then as I transitioned from the back office accounting work, I started out my sales career. And then ultimately, I worked in the pharmaceutical business for many, many years.
Mm.
So then, after working in pharmaceuticals, working in banking, consumer goods, I finally got my dream job that I always wanted right out of college. And I got recruited to Merrill Lynch. And at the time, I was the president of a nonprofit organization called National Sales Network. And that's an organization of African American sales professionals, sales managers. We mentored leadership development. And I also, at that time, developed my platform skills. So
Mm.
everything happens for a reason. But the timing of me coming to Merrill wasn't the best time, but it was. I did get my licenses then, and I say that to say it was in 2006. So from 2006 to 2008, I was at Merrill, and we know what happened in 2008. Global
Right.
financial crisis happened, right? So as a result of me being let go or transition out of that dream job, then I had to like start figuring out what was I going to do? Was I going to go to another wirehouse? Was I going to go to a bank? Was I going to just, find my way? I initially developed a health and wellness firm because my previous healthcare background, I had a good knowledge about health and wellness. So, but I didn't make enough money to sustain myself in that career. So I ended up going back into the financial service industry, but on a part-time basis. But that was a good thing because it allowed me to work. I started working in the Medicare space, utilizing my financial licenses. And as I started building my business on a part-time basis, it allowed me to earn an income and build a practice. I was able to then replace my employee income with my business income. And thus, at Transamerica Financial Advisors, I was able to kind of cut my teeth in the financial service work. So, as I was at Transamerica for many years, became a leader, became a business trainer, and also just focusing on wealth management, focusing on empowering other financial professionals to really learn their craft. I became successful. And then along the way, I began started writing books. So as my journey was, you know, can't get into the business, then there was a detour, then find success in sales and marketing, transition into the dream area that I really wanted to be, and then there was an obstacle. So I've been
Mm.
one that always overcome obstacles. I don't let them stand in my way. I see it as a way that for me to grow, a way for me to just say, okay, if this is not intended for me, then I go in a different direction. But if it is intended for me, then I find a way to overcome the adversity and find a way to develop that solution to get to what I want to be. So then back to my, let's say 2019, I wrote my first book, Faith Plus Purpose Equal Legacy, and I was encouraging children to become entrepreneurs and showing the interconnection between fathers showing their children by setting an example. And the goal was to keep more fathers in the household. Thus, we can
Mm.
strengthen our communities through entrepreneurship education. And then the second book I wrote, Our Stories, Our Voices, Black Men Speak Their Truth, that was a I was a co-author of that book with 11 other doctors, lawyers, professionals, myself being a financial service entrepreneur. And then the third book, The Seven Mindsets to Successfully Transition from Employee to Entrepreneur. So those are the three books that I've written. And then lastly, my current role is with Right Time Financial. I'm a managing partner and financial advisor with that firm. And my goal there is to really build a firm along with my business partners and train others and empower the next generation of entrepreneurs. So,
Mm.
as I've done that, become the author, I've also delved into speaking. And as I'm a public speaker, a keynote speaker, I speak a lot about financial literacy, entrepreneurship, as well as just really focusing on, again, empowering the next generation of entrepreneurs and helping people really make sound financial decisions. So it's been a long journey, but I've been loving it. I'm still loving it, and just listening to people on your podcast. I'm just happy to be here tonight to be able to share some of the insights that I have available.
Absolutely, Jason. Thank you for laying out your extensive experience like that. We were able to, kind of like a voyage, able to follow right along as God was working in your life. There was a couple of things, Jason, I was thinking about as you were sharing. You talked about how when you got let go or was transitioning, you had to really decide, like, what is it that I want to do? And that's kind of one of the things, especially when we talked offline about, changing your mindset and developing resiliency. What do you think is important in business? The ability to bounce back and change your mindset and see, failure as an opportunity, not, make it a part of your identity or woe is me and feeling sorry for myself. Not that we all don't feel that temporarily, but what's the wisdom you can shed there on seeing failure or trials as opportunity?
I'll tell you, long ago, many, many years ago, I read this book by Dr. Willie Jolly. You're probably
Mm,
familiar with that book. A setback is a setup for a comeback. And
mm,
that always resonated with me. It's like we can be successful, and at the same time, that success doesn't last forever. And then when we go into a roadblock, or we go into adversity, or we go into a way where we may be stagnant, okay, that's God telling us that you got more work to do. It's
mm,
not going to always be easy. It's not going to always be glory. At the same time, the work that you put in to be successful initially is going to require maybe additional work to be more successful to overcome an obstacle. It's
mm,
always a growth opportunity, in my opinion. And as I've handled adversity through the years, I've saw how my mental toughness and my faith in God has brought me through challenging times. Always.
mm,
Um, I didn't mention it early in my journey, but during, you know, early on in my career, as I was raising my family, my first wife unfortunately was diagnosed with cancer. So I lost her many years ago. My sons were 5 and 6 at the time, and I had to regroup, decide,
mm.
well, how can I now, as a single parent, raise my two sons and show them
Wow.
that father is strong, but yet their father has the ability to, need assistance, but yet he's going to find a way to take care of them. And God was with me through that journey, my family and different people in my church. So anytime there's been adversity, I'll always look at what inner things I need to do to make life a continued path.
Mm. Wow. That's good. Folks, I told you when you got the same name, it's just something about it. Jason's been dropping golden nuggets of wisdom. Uh, Jason, as we talk about your professional background and some of the turning points in your life, I know that you're a big proponent of entrepreneurship. As you go around speaking, obviously you've written on it too. What what are the advantages of entrepreneurship and what are the principles that you really are trying to get out there into the community?
Okay. The main principle is that there's different ways that people can earn a living.
Mm,
By design, God wants us to be business owners. He wants us to own our own corporations. Um, but yet, entrepreneurship is not for everyone. And I say
mm,
that because it's not an easy journey to get to a level of success or profitability. So you're going to have people who are more designed to be employees, but God designed us to be owners, and God designed us to be able to leave an inheritance for our children and our children's children. You
mm,
can't leave an inheritance for our children or your children's children by just being an employee. However,
mm,
you can do that by being a successful business person. Now, you can leave an inheritance from the standpoint of you have investments, all right, and you pass that down through insurance. But what God has designed us to be is business owners. Now, in my journey in empowering the next generation of entrepreneurs, we can see that from an economic standpoint, small business owners are the bulwark of the economy. When small business owners succeed, the economy does better versus when just major corporations succeed, and then you have
Mhm.
your middle class or your lower income individuals not doing well, then what happens there? Then the economy overall does not do well. So, from an economic standpoint, promoting entrepreneurship is healthy, but
Mm.
it's challenging. Therefore,
Yeah.
the books that I've written give people a blueprint to say if you have an idea, if you have a desire, you understand what you're good at, and you understand the tenets of supply and demand, you can find out what product or service is in demand, be able to supply that product or service, and thus we are also focusing on solving problems. That's what
Mm.
business is about. Identifying problems, coming up with solutions, and putting those solutions in the marketplace for individual consumption. So you have consumers and you have business owners. It's best to be a business owner versus just being a consumer. Because if you're
Mhm.
just a consumer, what happens? You help make other people wealthy. Why
Mm.
not make yourself wealthy simultaneously by consuming and acquiring appreciable assets? So that's where the
Yeah.
financial advisory aspect comes into play. You can be a consumer, but focus on acquiring appreciable assets.
Yeah. Got it. He's dropping nuggets, folks. Let's go a little bit deeper, Jason. So not only do you go around talking about these principles, but as a speaker, you've really been developing and crafting different talks. So you talk about the importance of entrepreneurship and assets, but you also are big on people being able to communicate a message in a powerful way. And so, you being a board member of the Black National Speakers Association, talk to us about your role there and how important it is to become a good communicator because you could do business one to one, but being able to do one to many, speaking is one of those avenues that you can do that. So talk to us about your role with the Black National Speakers Association.
Yeah, so my role with the Black National Speakers Association, it evolved by me participating in a few mastermind groups that the
Mm.
organization had put together. And by having success within those mastermind groups, I saw how myself, and I've always been a leader. I mentioned to you about National Sales Network before. And I saw where by myself coming into the organization now, I can be one that benefits from the services, or I can be someone who helps to create benefits for others. I chose
Hmm.
the latter based on my leadership skills. And additionally, I want to also help to enhance my craft as a speaker.
Yeah.
Anytime I join an organization and anytime I look to recruit membership to an organization, I tell people you're going to get out of the organization what you put into the organization. Let me repeat that. You're going to get out of the organization what you put into the organization. So I bring my transferable skills from National Sales Network, where I began to develop my platform skills. Now I'm going to enhance my platform skills and develop programs, mentorship programs, membership drives to expose the organization to many other individuals, other aspiring speakers. And as we develop collaborative efforts to help the current membership, and that's going to bring testimonials and show that aspiring new members can get mentorship from people who
Mm.
have proven success. I know that my success wasn't attained by me alone. My success as a speaker, as a businessman, as a financial professional, it was through me following the success of others. So as I've achieved success myself, now I feel obligated to now bring others behind me.
Mm.
Therefore, that's why I took that role as a board member of the Black National Speakers Association.
Mm. So good. Empowering others. You know, Jason, we've kind of been teeing up the finance conversation the whole time. And so you talked a little bit earlier about assets. So when you think about financial literacy, Jason, how crucial is financial literacy to not just society, but to the business owner? And what are some things about finance that should be known that's not necessarily known to the greater masses?
Well, the most important things is that when it comes to financial literacy, they're basic principles. And then the basic principles are now then built a foundation for people to just make sound financial decisions. As
Yeah.
we talked about it earlier, you could be a consumer, but be an educated consumer. Get good credit, balance, and have a budget. Know that don't overspend your salary or your wages, however you obtain those wages, either as an employee or as a business owner. You want to pay yourself first. You want
Hmm.
to put yourself in a position where you're not overspending, and you want to put yourself in a position where you're giving back to charity or to, your church. That 10% is a kind of like a golden rule, but the wealthier you are, you can become a philanthropist and be able to provide even more of your earnings to society and giving back, right? Now,
Hmm.
as you then begin saving and investing, focus on appreciable assets. A lot of times people focus on depreciable assets, mainly a nice car, right?
Hmm.
Don't get that nice car before you purchase a house or get real estate property that you can become a real estate investor that's going to generate an income stream. All right. So that's what we mean about appreciable assets. Those are just some basic examples. Now, as you go into business, let's say, as you are able to do that through maybe some of the profits or the investments that you've accumulated, then you're putting yourself in a position where you can then grow a business, exit that business, reinvest in another business, and then pass your business down to your next generation if they so desire to take that business. All children don't want the business of their parents, but there there will be a buyer somewhere if it's done right or you put an exit strategy that's in place. So from a financial standpoint, Jason, those are the key things. And again, and it all goes back to what God has designed us to be, business owners
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
not just consumers.
So good, Jason. And I think that's a perfect segue because you were talking about your books earlier. Your first one in particular that you wrote, Faith Plus Purpose Equals Legacy. I can almost, as I listen to that title, I can almost hear in the background, even in our conversation where that's come up. What was the motivation for that book, Jason? And then how did you come up with the title? Because that's very unique. And I don't know about you, when I hear that, I think of a math equation. It looks like, all right, if I got faith and I know my purpose, then I have the ability to leave a legacy. But you tell me, that's just from afar when I hear that title.
So when I wrote that book, my goal was initially to, show that I was a good father, and I
Mm,
be the best father that I could be, and I wanted to show an example of that because unfortunately my parents separated early on in life, and I was a product of divorce. Therefore, I wasn't necessarily raised with my dad. He was in and out of the army, so he wasn't necessarily uh, a major part of my life growing up. I
mm,
eventually got to know him as an adult. However, but in my formative years, it was basically my mom who
mm,
raised me. She raised me and my brother. And as a result of that, she was a banker. She worked for Citibank for many years. So the foundation that she set for me, indoctrinating me into understanding money management skills at a young and early age, I was able to take that foundation and take that experience, becoming a leader through rites of passage programs that she steered me and my brother towards. And I wanted to just show my kids and the community that you can be a good dad. But then when I brought that book concept to the publishers, they said, "Well, there's a lot of dads out there. What's going to differentiate you from
Yeah.
all the other dads out there?" So they said, "Well, maybe you can put it or tie it into something educational." I said, "That sounds
Mhm.
like a good idea." So I knew I was, financial advisor and entrepreneur. So I said, "Well, I can tie it into entrepreneurship." So I tied in entrepreneurship, and I wanted to give the connection between fathers showing a good example. Now, my first son, his name is Imani, which means faith. His first daughter is named Nia, which means purpose. And then the legacy
Mm.
that my mom passed down to me that enabled me to then take care of my children and teach my children to take care of my grandchildren. That's where the legacy part came into. So faith
Mm.
plus purpose equal legacy. That's how I derived the title of the book.
Wow. I love that, Jason, because literally I think of that quote, what's in a name? And literally it was in the names. I could see the tapestry of the family right in the title. That's powerful, Jason. I know you've got two other books. We don't have to spend a lot of time, but briefly mention. I think your second book was a collaboration, and then the third one is where you started to lay out seven principles. But by now, Jason, people are like, man, I need to get my hands on these. Where can they find or get a copy of all three of these books?
Yes. So my third book was on my website, and my website is jasonsmurray.com. That's jasonsmurray.com. And the other books, you can get them on Amazon, all right, and the other different um, distribution sites, they're available. But the third book, you can get that directly through my website, and you can get an autographed copy as a result. So jasonsmurray.com, and then Amazon and the other distribution sites to purchase books.
Love it, love it. And folks, don't you worry, we'll have all of the information and resources that Jason's talking about. We'll have it in the show notes, fortifiedlifepodcast.com. So don't you worry. As much as he's dropping nuggets, we'll have all the resources. So don't worry about it. Jason, before we before we get ready to go, um, I'm sure there's some exciting events and projects that you're working on. So what's coming up? What are you excited about? And if someone were to ask, where is Jason Murray headed? What is he up to? Tell us about what's on deck.
Well, as you mentioned earlier, a lot of things that I'm doing. I'm getting invited for podcasts. I'm getting invited for workshops. I'm getting invited for, you know, online events as well as in-person events. I'm going to be speaking to the Delta sorority. They've had me as a speaker before. I'm going to be speaking for them again, um, talking about savings and how money works. That's going to be an online workshop. And then I'm also going to be speaking on October 19th. That's going to be at the Rada Center in Teaneck, New Jersey. And our Four Corners Church is having a health and wellness event. I'm going to be one of the
Mm,
speakers there, and I'm going to be focused on financial wellness and tying in health as a result of financial wellness. Um, and then later on in the year, I'll be doing other events that, again, always constantly empowering the next generation of entrepreneurs and discussing how money works and how to help individuals make sound financial decisions.
I love it, folks. He's a man of commerce, a man of impact, and a man of action. So, a lot of things coming up where you can catch my man, Jason Murray. Jason, this has been such an awesome conversation. Where can listeners go? I know you had talked about the books earlier, but where can listeners go to connect with you and your content and what you have going on?
Yeah, so through social media, Jason Murray CEO. Jason Murray CEO are my taglines for all my social media, be it LinkedIn or Instagram or X. And my direct number is 201 314 8301. Again, that's 201 314 8301. If someone needs to contact me directly for scheduling an appointment, and through LinkedIn is probably the best way to reach me. But then also my website, you can reach me there at jasonsmurray.com.
That's huge, folks. He didn't just give you the website.
Mm-hmm.
He gave you social media. He gave the phone number. This man is serious. So no excuse to not be able to contact Jason and keep up with what he's going on. Well, Jason, I just want to thank you for coming on the show. You have given and enlightened us all with your wisdom, with what you have going on. And so we're definitely going to have to do this again sometime in the future. Maybe we'll kind of get to nerd out a little deeper on some financial stuff. But yeah, thanks for hanging out with us here on the show.
I appreciate it. Thanks for the invitation, and I hope our listeners were able to get some value out of the conversation.
For sure. And folks, remember fortifiedlifepodcast.com will have Jason's information, books, website, all of that. So you can check out what he's doing. Well, folks, that's all we got time for here on the Fortified Life Podcast. Remember, fortifiedlifepodcast.com, and you could keep up with Jason. But you know how we leave things. Don't compartmentalize your faith in the marketplace. And from the boardroom to the bathroom, God is with you. We'll see you next time on the Fortified Life Podcast.